104 years. That's how long she carried the nightmares. Viola Ford Fletcher, the oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, died last week at 111 years old, but not before making sure the world knew what they tried to bury. At 7 years old, Viola lay in bed when her mother woke her that May morning. The screams had already started. White mobs, thousands of them, descended on Greenwood with guns and torches. Some came in biplanes dropping bombs on the community. What happened next was a massacre so brutal that America spent nearly a century pretending it never happened. She saw black men gunned down in the streets. She watched as her entire neighborhood, 191 businesses, dozens of churches, schools, homes, turned to ash. As her family fled in a horse-drawn buggy, she felt the heat of the flames on her face. She saw piles of bodies she never forgot. According to the Justice Department review released in 2024, the massacre was not chaos. It was coordinated. It was military style. It was planned by businessmen, real estate speculators, and city officials who saw Greenwood, Black Wall Street, as something to destroy and reclaim. Between 150 and 300 people were killed. More than 10,000 were made homeless in a single night. Over 30 city blocks were reduced to rubble. The total property loss exceeded $1.5 million in 1921 dollars, equivalent to nearly $40 million today. But here's what made Viola Fletcher dangerous to the powerful. She remembered. She slept with the lights on for 104 years. When she closed her eyes, the nightmares came back. "I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street," she testified before Congress in 2021. "I still smell smoke and see fire. I still hear the screams." She wasn't supposed to survive to tell that story. Neither was her brother Hughes Van Ellis, who was just a newborn during the massacre. Together, they outlived almost everyone who was there, and they decided that silence wasn't an option anymore. In 2020, Viola and Hughes filed a lawsuit seeking reparations from the city of Tulsa. Alongside fellow survivor Leslie Benningfield Randall, they demanded justice, not vengeance, but acknowledgement. They asked the state to take responsibility for what had been stolen: homes, businesses, education, generational wealth that could have built entire legacies. The court said no. In June 2024, the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed the case. Their reasoning was cruel in its simplicity. The people who committed the massacre were dead, so there was no one to hold accountable. The living residents of Tulsa bore no responsibility, the court argued. Never mind that the city of Tulsa had used the names and images of massacre victims for financial gain. Never mind that the wealth gap between white and black Tulsa still traces directly to what happened in 1921. A Justice Department investigation confirmed that federal prosecution might have been possible a century ago, but it was now too late. There was no legal path forward. The statute of limitations had expired on genocide. Viola Fletcher died surrounded by family at a Tulsa hospital on November 24, 2025. Her grandson told us she had a beautiful smile on her face. She loved life. She loved people, he said. But she died without justice. Not for herself, not for her family, not for her community. She died with the knowledge that the system had failed her one final time. The last eyewitness was gone. Leslie Benningfield Randall remains, at 110 years old, the sole surviving witness to what America tried to erase. But soon, there will be no one left who remembers. No one to tell us what they saw. No one to make the courts feel uncomfortable with the truth. And that's exactly what some people are counting on. That's the real crime. Not just what happened in 1921, but what continues to happen. The erasure, the denial, the refusal to make whole what was stolen. Viola Ford Fletcher spent 104 years trying to make sure that didn't happen. She testified. She wrote her memoir. She sued. She showed up to court year after year, knowing she would lose. Her legacy isn't the verdict she never got. It's the refusal to let them bury her story.